Hello there, Capers, and welcome to PodCapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. And this week, we just saw The Last Jedi. We're gonna talk about it. Warning, spoilers on I. Don't cry to your mum about it. Cue the music. We're gonna start the show now. Hello there, Capers, and as I said, welcome to PodCapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. My name is Scott James Merridew, and this is the show we talk about various geek and nerd-related topics, and I'm joined each week by a very special different guest. Now, this week, we're talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi, and I'm joined, as I said, by a very special guest. He is the host, or is it co-host? Co-host, I think it's fair enough, of a very interesting podcast called Star Wars Conversations. Please give it up for Colin Coughtrey.
Yay! I do. Hey, nice to be on, Scott.
Nice to have you on. It's great to have you here. Now, just can you tell us a bit about yourself and your show for the Capers?
Sure. Well, first of all, Star Wars Conversations. Just a podcast. Me and my friend Jay Tank started it about a year ago. It's just two scruffy-looking nerf herders chatting about all things Star Wars. We normally go through a bit of the latest news and anything that we've come across that week. So if it's comics, books, episodes of Rebels, films, we'll review whatever we've read. There's quite often a few discussion topics. You know, there was obviously in the run-up to The Last Jedi, there was loads of speculation and what we like to call the fist of theories, in terms of trying to work out what was going to happen in this film. All that blown out the window. Yeah, so it's pretty simple podcast, and we do it once a week. So yeah, it's available on things like iTunes, Stitch, all your usual places. So yeah, we have fun. And in terms of me,
it sounds like you have fun. We
do. I mean, end of the day, we don't take it too seriously. We're just massive fans. We're old gits, so we've been Star Wars fans all our lives. We were not quite old enough to see A New Hope when it first came out, but Empire Strikes Back we definitely were. So
you got me beat then. You've got me. The first time I ever saw Star Wars, it was on VHS, and it was like the first special edition.
Oh,
so
wow.
For years, I thought Greedo shot first.
How wrong you were. I mean, I was lucky enough to... My first experience of seeing it was a double feature my dad took me to see A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back in a row. So, as you can imagine, it affected my brain just a little bit, and that's end result is what's happened to me today, I think.
And from there, the seed of fandom grew into a mighty oak.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Now, the episode of your podcast that I listened to was the one that you did on Star Wars Battlefront 2. I had to skip over a bit of it because you're talking about Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels, and I'm only on Season 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, God. Now, as someone who has played neither Battlefront 2 nor Battlefront 1, but I have played Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2, you know which ones I'm talking about.
The original ones, yeah. PlayStation 2 versions, I believe they were.
Oh, God, yeah. And you know what I find weird about that is they haven't released those on PSN. Because
annoying.
It's so annoying because they released a bunch of other games that I have got. Like, I played a lot of Star Wars Bounty Hunter and Star Wars Jedi Starfighter when I was a kid. And then a couple of months ago, I found out, holy shit, I could get this on PS4. Get it! Download! Oh my God, Race the Revenge! I've never even got a chance to play that. Oh my God, I could be Team Toplageus!
It's mind-blowing. But those original Battlefront games were just absolute the best. I mean, Battlefront 2, the original, is probably my favourite game ever. Yeah, I'm desperate for it to be re-released, but I think it all got mixed up with some kind of rights thing, I believe, and that's why it's not being released. So annoying. But we've got the new games, and they're not quite the same. And obviously, there's been a lot of controversy about the recent Battlefront 2. But I really enjoy it. I think there's going to be a theme.
It's a Star Wars game, so there's always going to be at least a little bit of enjoyment.
Of course, I mean it looks amazing, and they've really made some. If you played the first Battlefront, the new one, and weren't sure about trying the second one, such a massive percent improved on the first game. So there's so much more to do, particularly if you're into single player or arcade mode. There's a load more to do. So it's not all predicated on just being able to play the multiplayer and getting shot very quickly by 5-year-olds.
Good, because that is not an experience that I'm very keen on. I am a lonely bastard, and I like to play games that reflect my lifestyle.
I tell you what is brilliant: the story mode, the campaign mode, all about Inferno Squadron. It's a bit short, but it's great. And with the recent DLC update, they're adding new chapters to it, so that's worth getting just for that.
Yeah, but that's the problem is though there used to be so many different Star Wars games, and now we're just pretty much getting Battlefront. I think maybe a few like iOS stuff, which is, I mean, if this is all we're getting, then fine. But the great thing about Star Wars is there's so many different opportunities for. I mean, if you think about any sort of game genre or any sort of game mechanic, there's a Star Wars game based around it. There's tactical, military stuff like Galactic Empire, and there's first-person shooters like Battlefront, and there's more story-focused stuff, and even flight simulators like X-Wing and TIE Fighter and stuff like that. So I feel like there's a lot of potential here that Disney, or well, not LucasArts anymore because they're gone now, bastards. But in case you aren't aware, I hate Disney with a passion, and part of that
I noticed from your musical episode.
Yeah, that comes up quite a bit, and a lot of that was intensified. It was already pretty strong. It was intensified when I found out that LucasArts was dissolved, because this was a really big part of my childhood and such a great video game company. I'm not saying everything they made was great, but they made so many good stuff, and then it's just like gone. So many people laid off, and so many games cancelled. We could have had Star Wars 1313, but we didn't. They took that from us. Bastards!
I know, that's the biggest disappointment. That game looked like it was going to be brilliant, and even the more Uncharted type game that they've been talking about the past 2 years has recently been cancelled and taken off the slate. So I think that there's a lot of controversy around EA and whether or not they're going to keep the license after sort of all the negativity around Battlefront 2 and the microtransactions. So I think we just need to keep an eye out and see what happens.
See, I'm fine with them keeping the license as long as maybe just give the license to other people as well. Because it seems like EA are just focused on doing Battlefront because that's the sort of their wheelhouse. They're comfortable with giving it to DICE and multiplayer and all that sort of stuff. But there's so many other companies that could do so many other good things. Let's cast the net wide, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? But we got to talk about The Last Jedi. Now, before we talk about it, I actually just want to get, just for the Capers' benefit, what were your thoughts on The Force Awakens?
Mine? I like The Force Awakens. Again, a lot of people, I guess the main criticism on it was that people said it was a bit of a rehash of the originals. But
I liked it the first time I saw it when it was called A New Hope.
To me, though, I really enjoyed it. I love all the new characters. I think it was a great jumping on point for a new generation, and it was just fun. I was super entertained. It felt like Star Wars, and that, to me, that was all I want. I mean, my view is you're never going to recreate the originals, and you're never going to live up to that. So as long as people, do the best and they've got the right intentions, I'm quite happy that they carry on making these films. And like I said, that one I thought was absolutely serviceable. I really enjoy watching it. I rewatch it regularly, so it's not. Yeah, I'm a happy chappy with that one.
Well, I'm glad you're happy. I was less happy because I was infuriated because for me it felt like 80% of the movie was a rehash. But here's the thing. The 20% that was new, that was original, I really liked. I thought it was, like the first line, I'll never forget watching this in the cinema and then seeing like Luke Skywalker has vanished. I thought that is an excellent way to start the movie. And he become this mythological figure, and his name is shrouded in mystery and rumor. Yeah. And I thought that's so cool. And a main character's a stormtrooper. That's new. That's interesting. And every time they did something new, it was so cool. But then I knew they'd be followed by something that I'd seen before.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is though, we can't be too critical with the new regime because that's what Star Wars has always done. I mean, if you look at Empire, Return of the Jedi, sorry, I mean it's effectively a rehash of the first film anyway. I mean it's you're fighting a Star Destroyer, and we see that so many times. And even Phantom Menace, the end battle scene of that. It's very similar to the Death Star again. So it's just
this isn't a new problem. This isn't.
No, it's not
absolutely
really.
Right.
It's a cycle, and things repeat in the Star Wars universe, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but I was pleased to see in this new movie. Actually, I didn't get the feeling that it was a rehash. I didn't get the impression that they were doing stuff because it had been done before. This felt like a new Star Wars movie.
It did, and I think that's probably the biggest strength, and that was definitely the thing that the fans seemed to be calling out for. So I think they listened. It wasn't
written by 3 people this time. It was just one guy.
Yeah, but again, I think one person having too much control can sometimes get a little bit lost.
Yeah, we've seen that before. We've been down that road.
We have.
It hasn't turned out so great. Banks! Sorry, that happens. It comes out. I can't help it. I think we're just gonna talk about this movie in of itself as its own thing and judge it and based on its own merits. And there are a lot of merits I think it does have. It's really it hits the ground running. First Order. Actually, no. Before we start, I just want to get this off my chest. I warned you I was going to nitpick. The First Order. Why are they called the First Order? If anything, they're the Third Order. The Old Republic, the Empire, these guys. Why are they called that? I don't. I'm sure it's explained in a new comic or a new book or something. But I mean, just call it the Order or the Galactic Order, the Empiric Order or something. But the First Order, I'm sorry, you're not the first. You're a little bit late to this party, guys.
Yeah, I haven't got the answer for you, I'm afraid, on that. I mean, I've read most of the books and the comics, and I still can't work that one out. So, I think the closest
I was counting on you to give me the answer.
The closest you'll get to an answer is probably the Bloodlines book by Claudia Gray, which was all around Princess Leia, or General Leia, whatever she was called at the time. And that had the seeds at the beginning of the First Order, and then obviously the Aftermath books have a lot of background stuff. But no,
so how much of the new canon have you seen? The new expanded canon?
I've pretty much read all of it.
Well, then you have done a tad more than I have, because I have read 0 of it. I am a Legends guy through and through. Thank you very much.
I tell you what, I love Legends, and that was probably my biggest heartache in The Force Awakens, was that Rey wasn't Jaina.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I don't know how they could have gotten around it, if they could have adapted some of the stories, or if they could have found some way of inserting it into places where that have been covered already. But it's been pretty. Legends, in terms of timeline-wise, and these characters' lives have been pretty comprehensively covered. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, the only other solution I could think of was that they would do sort of like a Rogue One thing, where they have different Star Wars stories that have just, new stories, and don't have a new trilogy, which, I mean, I would have been fine with. Other people might say, well, why aren't we getting a new trilogy? So, I don't have the answer, for once.
Again, it's so subjective, isn't it, in terms of what people want from Star Wars, and what I think the beauty about Star Wars is it's got the capability of being everything, because you can do the books, you can do TV series, you can do standalone movies like Rogue One, you can do series of trilogies like Rian Johnson's going to do, you can do the episode films. So potentially, and I'm sure Disney will mine this to death, there is the opportunity to see all the different things you want to see. And like I say, with the Legends books, I think they are starting to bring elements in. Obviously, we've seen Thrawn now in Rebels.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the books.
I'm holding up my Heir to the Empire book to the camera, Capers. I have it on hand always.
Well, it's a brilliant book to have. I think mine's probably within reach. Yeah, it's just behind me. But but you've got things are being brought in, and I mean, I'm sure eventually we'll see more and more of. I mean, to be fair, I'm glad they didn't just rehash what happened in Legends, because then that wouldn't have been fun to watch the films, would it?
Yeah, because we would always say, well, we already know about this. We've already read them or played the video games or seen the comics and stuff. So, yeah, there was no right answer for this, really, and it's so subjective. So we just got to accept what we're given and, as I said, judge it based on its own merits, really. And because we could go, what if, till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, we'll just be speculating.
At the end of the day, if people don't like it, they don't like it. They don't have to watch it. I'm not here to convince people that something they don't like, they should like. I'm happy with what I've had so far, and I'll continue to watch it.
Yeah. So I swear we won't try and not go off track too many times, although I make no promises. So this starts, it really, as they hit the ground running, and starts with a big space battle. The First Order is going up against the Resistance. They are trying to escape from the planet we saw in the last episode. And I found it kind of weird that there wasn't a time gap between these two movies, because in the original trilogy, there was a time gap equivalent to the amount of time between the movies. So its first one came out in 1977, next one 1980. So in the Empire, it was 3 years since the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah.
So we don't have that here. It's literally just right from the get-go.
Straight in. Yeah, and again, something different, which is always good. But I also think that was one of the things that led to one of the key faults, because straight away we've got the First Order, with a massive attack going on, and you're thinking, well, they're just recovering from the Star Killer base being blown up, and have they got a foothold in the galaxy already? Because before they've only just destroyed the New Republic, or whatever it was called. So,
and that's another thing. I don't understand the structure and the intricacies of either the New Republic or the First Order, because it was so simple in the original. I don't want to compare it too much to the original trilogy, but in the first. I'm going to, you're right. In the original trilogy, you knew that the Empire controlled the whole galaxy, or at least most of the galaxy, and the rebels were just like a couple of planets here and there and really scattered. Here, I don't know how much is the New Republic, how much is the First Order. Are they in certain bits of the galaxy, or are they all spread all over? And is it two equally powerful juggernauts clashing against each other? Or is one bigger or one smaller? This is why we keep using things like the term resistance, but there's also the Republic is there. But then they in the previous movie they destroy like 5 of the Republic planets. Does that mean the Republic is dead, or are they just severely weakened? And I'm sure this is explained in some sort of novel or something, and we get a much better understanding of how powerful these two entities are. But in the movie, I don't know what the rules are, and that confuses me, and I don't like being confused.
No, I mean, I think you can from the Force Awakens, you get the feeling that they are effectively two powers, like the US and USSR kind of thing, in the Cold War kind of thing. I don't think it's an even distribution. I think definitely, absolutely, the New Republic was the main thing, and again, from the knowledge from the expanded books, you know that they've got their own section of the universe, and they're starting to build up. And again, from these Bloodlines books, it's very much there were 2 fractions within the New Republic, two political parties, as you will, and one of them eventually becomes the First Order, effectively. So that's okay. That's the way.
This is what you get when you have a 2-party system, guys. It never leads to anything good.
I think one was, I can't remember what they were called. One was all about creating a big galaxy again, spanning council. And one was about, no, we should all just have individual world and not be controlled across like an EU kind of thing.
Oh god, so many parallels. Moving on. And so it starts with a big thing, and basically this giant dreadnought, Poe Dameron, who I still think should have been Wedge Antilles. Just make him Wedge Antilles, because I know who Wedge Antilles is. I don't know who Poe Dameron is. I mean, I like him.
Or even the son of Wedge.
Or even the son of Wedge. In fact, this is another thing. I heard that, I wish I could remember his name, the original actor of Wedge Antilles was asked to come back, but he didn't have a very interesting role. He was just sort of there, so he said, no thanks. And I don't blame him for doing that.
he was for a long time not really into being connected to Star Wars, and he's in actual fact he's Ewan McGregor's uncle in real life. If you didn't know that,
Okay.
Little fact for you there. I've forgotten his name. He's in Casualty a lot and Holby City.
I know he's on a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but I know I got his face in my mind, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah. So he basically wasn't a massive fan, but then last year this year he was invited to Star Wars Celebration for the 40th anniversary, and he came to that, and I think that was the first major Star Wars thing he's done for years and years and years. So he's coming back to football. I can't remember his name off the top of my head either. One thing I will acknowledge: Jay is the person that remembers all the names. I'm the one that waffles. So
that's pretty much my relationship with David Malofsky. You know, he remembers all the technical details, and I just rant and rant and rant.
Brilliant. Well, that's going to be a perfect podcast then, isn't it? 2
Oh,
rants.
yeah.
So, just before we say any more, is this a spoilers podcast? Or
yeah. I mean, I would have hoped the song at the beginning would have given it away, but yeah, this is spoilers. We're going to go into heavy spoilers. Because I know a lot of people don't like to be spoiled with their reviews and like to find out, but at the same time, like, I've got some stuff to say. So, you know, abandon all spoiler warnings, ye who enter here. I don't know. And so they go against this big dreadnought thing, and which isn't being overseen by Hux. It's this other guy. Hux is on another thing. And what can I say about Hux other than the fact that he is so ridiculous and so over the top, it's actually kind of stupid. And I don't know how much of this is the writing or if it's Domhnall Gleeson's acting, although I don't think it really is his acting, because I've seen him in other stuff and I know he's a good actor and he's not necessarily an over-the-top actor.
It's a completely different direction than what was in Force Awakens with that character, and I would, again, a heavy criticism on our group is that he was played for laughs, and it sort of ruined the validation of him as a key sort of enemy. Effectively, I mean, he's number one in terms of charge of the fleet and the First Order, and it's
imagine if Admiral Piet was like this guy. And you can't take him seriously, and I get what they're going for. They're going for, like, he's a power-mad villain, and he's like a mad dog, but he has his uses. That's something that Snoke says later on. And it's just like, okay, that's fine. And there is a good way of doing that, but the way you've done it here, it's cartoony. He's over the top. He's gibbering, and he's got these, like, weird hollow eyes that they've given him, and I know Domhnall Gleeson is kind of like, he's a pale guy, but he's not that pale. Jeez. And so I can't take it seriously, especially when he's put next to Adam Driver, who is actually playing it rather seriously.
Yeah, he's acting his little pants off, isn't he? He's doing a good job, I thought, Adam Driver in this film.
He's a great actor. I've seen him in quite a few things now, and he's really, really good. But it's so weird. It's just so weird to have these two people together. And it's always fun when Kylo Ren schools him and basically knocks him about a bit.
Yeah.
But then he's just like, we will destroy the rebel scam, blah, 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 blah. And it's stupid and it's weird. And then Poe Dameron blows up the big dreadnought thingamajiggy, but it causes a lot of bombers to die. So naturally, General Leia, I had to stop myself from saying Princess. General Leia she's not too happy with him. She fully on slaps him. Okay, wow. Yeah. Go Carrie Fisher. And she demotes him. And basically it starts this whole subplot of him learning not to take risks. And it's like...
become a leader. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess this whole beginning bit, the first thing I noticed really was that just how well it looked. It looked amazing. I think
it's not a clusterfuck.
No, and Rian Johnson's directing. He did different shots with the space battles, and there were some fantastic moves. I thought there were some great things from Poe. The fact that he took on those dreadnoughts on himself. That the horrible joke with the him not being able to hear him on the intercom kind of thing. Oh God, was cringe. I mean, it was funny, but it just wasn't Star Wars. It really took you out.
I'm going on another rant. Okay. This is another criticism I had of the last movie. There is too many jokes. And none of them. Okay, some of them work. Some of them fit in Star Wars because there were moments of levity in the original ones, and there were occasional jokes like "Be careful, Han. Hey, it's me." Oh yeah, right. We know what that means. That's the kind of humor that Star Wars has. This is the same criticism I have of a lot of recent Marvel movies, and even though I love Marvel with a passion, and I like it when Marvel is funny, there's a time to be funny, and there is a time to be fucking serious and put on your big boy pants. This is the time to put on your big boy pants. And the worst part is, a lot of the jokes, not all of them, but a lot of the jokes just stop the movie dead.
Because they just don't fit. They don't fit. It's not the fact that there's humour in it. It's the type of humour this particularly this sort of phone call reference thing. Obviously, they've got communication devices in the Star Wars universe, but this was a very real world type of joke, and that's what I think took you out.
Yeah, it's just like, let's pause the movie while we do a little bit of a witty banter thing, and it's distracting, and I swear I only laughed once in the movie. Once. And even then that was just because, I was towards the end of the movie and I've been holding in all my laughs out of sheer principle. Just because everyone else is laughing around me and I'm just like, no, I refuse.
Not giving them the satisfaction.
I refuse.
I've got to say, I thought it was funny. I mean, it
is funny. It is funny, but it's not appropriate.
Yes, I get that. But so then after that scene with the bombers, I mean, I thought it looked brilliant and it was really cool and exciting and enjoyable to watch. But then when you get home, you think about it, you think those bombers were moving really slow.
What happened to the Y-wings? Where did the Y-wings go? Did they stop working? Did we run out of them?
Yeah, I mean, they were the slowest bombers ever. They weren't particularly well designed, I don't think. And
they literally just dropped the bombs into space.
Yeah, and it was just a bit. There was a lot of. I know the films aren't super set realism, but there was a lot of things in this film, like the fact that the thing is Rose's sister was lying on that platform with space underneath her, so she would have been dead straight away. It was just like, really, that doesn't make any sense.
Was there some sort of force field? We don't see anything like that.
Well, I mean, it didn't seem to be anything there. I mean, what I do think Rian Johnson did in this film was there was a lot of things in this he just didn't bother to explain or he just glossed over. And you can take that as a style or a choice, but ultimately, in this day and age, you can't get away with it. People like us, fanboys, sit there and will pick it apart, so...
So I mean, I don't want it to be too exposition heavy, but there is a reasonable amount of explaining, or even just show, don't tell, just like show, okay, we're about to open the bomber bay doors, activate the force field, boom.
Yeah. Well, I think what the key bit to this...
Are you getting a transmission?
Yeah, sorry about that. I'll put that on silent. I think the key bit is you just got to stick to the rules and principles of whatever film or universe you're in. And so in Star Wars, we know they've got force fields in front of open windows. So we just need to see that there was a force field that was dropped or something. It's that simple. Like I say, you don't need to do an explanation around it. You just need to be true to the universe you're in. And it's the same for comics. And it's the same, whatever the established principles are, as long as you're true to that, it doesn't matter if it's not real. Just stick to what you've established.
Space hurts, guys. Remember.
It does.
PSA from PodCapers.
Don't go out in it.
No.
Wear your coat.
Wear your coat. Bring an umbrella. Oh God. And there's a cool bit where I nearly called him Adam Driver. It's Kylo Ren. And or Ben, whatever you want to call him. Kylo Ben is he's attacking one of the ships and he's about to destroy Princess Leia or General Leia or whatever. Leia. He's about to destroy Leia. And he hesitates and he doesn't do it. Because I thought in the trailer he was going to do it, but he didn't.
Yes.
And then she ended up being blown up anyway.
Which I thought was pretty good. I thought that was quite fun. And I think the trailer, definitely, I think Rian Johnson went out of his way to try and tease people and set things up that might not happen. And that, I think it was too obvious. I think it would have just been a character destroyer by letting him kill Leia on purpose, because we already hate him enough for killing Han, and I think it was obvious there was always going to be the will he, won't he turn back, and so to have him kill Leia at the beginning would have been just character suicide. You know, no one would have brought into him, would they, if he'd have done it?
Yeah, and it does add an extra layer, and plus we get more Princess Leia and more Carrie Fisher, which I do like, and I generally thought that she was going to die at that point, though, because she gets blown up. Admiral Akbar is fucking dead. I know that much.
Off screen. That's so sad. You know, we didn't get to see a proper. He didn't even get a chance to say, "It's a trap!" You know?
With my last breath, I just have to say, it's a trap! And we don't get to, but then Leia fucking Supermans her way back onto the ship using the Force, which initially I thought was kind of silly, but then I realised, actually, you know what? Fuck it. She's a Skywalker. Yeah, she can do that.
I mean, I liked it. I like the idea and the concept, and speaking to Jay, his view on it was all involuntary. It was something that just instinctually she used, rather than it was a purposeful thing, and that's why she's a bit frozen and stuck in that pose. Yeah. But I think the unfortunate bit is just, again, the execution of it, and I think this is a common thing throughout the film. Some of Rian Johnson's visuals in this film just don't make sense, and that was one that looked awful. It looked like
she was in an explosion. Figure. She's not even a little bit burnt.
Yeah, and her eyes weren't popping out or anything, or even bloodshot from being stuck in space. You know,
I think your eyes do get a bit of bloodshot in space. You can survive in space without a spacesuit for like a minute. At most, if you like exhale before you go out of stuff, which maybe she did. So it is possible, and she is a Jedi, so there's a whole physiological thing. So
again, it's
not the stupidest thing.
She could have done like a force bubble round or something like that, but we didn't see it. All we saw was a frozen character that looked like a toy being pushed along the screen. It just looked. It looked bad, and that's what I think that people have got annoyed about. It's not the fact she used the Force and got that power. It's the fact that she looked like Leia Poppins. You know what I mean? It's just.
But being Leia Poppins takes a lot out of a person, because she ends up in hospital, poor thing, and a new person ends up taking over. Is it Mon Mothma? Is it someone else that we know? No, it's Vice Admiral Holdo, or as I like to call it, pink-haired Laura Dern.
Or Holdor.
Hodor. Yes! Admiral yes! Admiral Hodor, what do we do? Hodor. Brilliant!
Yeah, she was holding the door for the Resistance to escape, basically.
Yeah, and also at this point, Finn wakes up because I forgot he got a bit knackered at the last.
Yeah, he got slashed up, didn't he?
Yeah, and so he literally just woke up and walked along in like a Bacta suit, I'm assuming, just like leaking. Yeah. And again, that's an opportunity for another joke. What do you mean Finn's naked and leaking? Oh, he's asking where Rey is, and it turns out she's on this island place in what looks like the Outer Hebrides, and she hands Luke his lightsaber, and he tosses it over his shoulder. And I had a little bit of a snicker at that, I will admit.
It was funny, but again, from that very long, intense stare at the end of Force Awakens, with all the atmospheric music, yes, it was the funny thing to do, but it did seem like a parody. It seemed like something you'd do in a parody video rather than the actual film.
Like, here's what I would have done. I like to educate filmmakers on where they went wrong. And so what I would have done is I would have had him take the lightsaber, look at it for a second, maybe two, then hand it back to Rey, shake his head sadly, and just walk away.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been more meaningful, I think. Yeah, I agree.
And it would have the same reaction for her, like, what? No, I came all this way, fucking hell, talk to me. But just take the moment seriously.
Yeah.
You know?
Or, if we wanted to make the film speed up a bit, When she goes down it to him, accidentally slip and turn it on and shoot him in the face with it. That would have been perfect.
Oh, fuck! Who even are you? I'm so sorry. I don't know which button turns it off. Well, then you shouldn't be touching it then. Oh, God. And we have a bit of meet up with her and him, and they find out a bit more about each other. Chewie shows up, pushing the door open. And I think at this point we should mention that we got a new actor for Chewbacca because Peter Mayhew just can't do the role anymore, I don't think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this new guy, I mean, it's difficult to think when it's something physical, but you know what? Honestly, I couldn't tell the difference. This guy's it's a new guy, and I think Peter Mayhew was still involved, still a consultant, who's still working on Chewbacca.
Well, he did a few scenes in The Force Awakens, some of the more physical scenes anyway. So Peter Mayhew was there to mentor him in The Force Awakens. So it's not completely brand new to this film. So, he done a great job, and I mean, it was Chewie. It wasn't.
Yeah. And you know what? Do you know what? It was Luke Skywalker as well. A lot of new elements. He was a lot older, a lot more cynical. But you know what? It was Luke fucking Skywalker. Hats off to Mark Hamill. He just slipped right back into that role like a glove.
Yeah. Again, I think the story-wise and some of the points with what happened with Luke definitely contentious, but the way he played him, I thought was fine. Even though I do sort of see Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker blurring into one person these days after seeing him at lots of different live things over the past few years. And we've just got to talk about the milk scene.
God. Yeah. What the fuck? He just... It's not even the fact that he literally just drank, presumably warm milk, straight from the tit of some alien animal, but he did it whilst maintaining eye contact with Rey.
And making the most sort of shit-eating grin ever. It's just like, Rah!
That's a power move. That's a fucking power move. Yeah. It's just like, okay, fuck. They don't even talk. He doesn't say anything. He just fucking drinks alien milk. It's so weird. It's so weird.
It was weird. I mean, I think that's a good word. There were some very weird moments in this film, and that was the biggest one. That was strange.
Yeah. And the weirdness continues when Finn meets Rose Tycho, I think her name is. I don't know. And who's basically like, he starts off being like a kind of like a rebel fangirl, basically.
Yeah.
But then she finds out that he's planning to desert, and so she tases him. Here's the thing, though. So the reason she tases him is for desertion and everything, and she's had to do that a couple of times because some people are trying to get into escape pods. Is Finn part of the Resistance? Is he officially part? Would he technically be deserting? I'm not sure.
Really, no, I don't think so. I mean, so he's been classed as a hero of the Resistance, but I don't think he actually is a Resistance member.
If you help the Resistance out one time, you're in it for life.
I know. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Rose character at all. I thought she was not particularly great, and I also just didn't see the point in her.
I'm glad you said didn't see the point, because that's going to tie into something I'm going to say, if not soon, then certainly later. I think the actor playing her, I don't know her name, was very good.
Yeah.
Yes, and I thought she was very good. There were aspects of her character that I liked. I liked her enthusiasm in some scenes, but she seemed mostly there, A, to be kind of pointless, and B, to sort of give us a point of view that we already would have understood or gotten, that didn't really need to be explained to us. So, like, there's a scene later on in the movie, they go to this place, Onion Bhaji. Canto Bite. I was kind of about to call it Onion Bhaji for a second there. And it's like, Finn is like, holy crap, this place looks awesome. What could possibly be wrong with a place like this? And she's like, well, it's built on the back of, like, slave labor and really nasty shit, you know, stuff like that. I'm just like, okay, so it's the capital from Hunger Games then, basically. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like, yeah.
We could sort of figure it out the second we see it. Oh, it's this really nice, glitzy place. Oh, well, obviously there's something bad going on, you know?
I think the main reason why she seemed pointless was because the whole storyline, when they go to Canto Bight, and that was completely pointless as well. It didn't actually further the film on.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this then. If we're gonna do this, let's fucking do this.
It's too long. I mean, just cut that whole bit out. It's so coincidental. It's unbelievable. There's just so many bits in it where, that just happened to happen. Even just getting the information from Maz, that was just so weird. How's Poe got Maz's phone number?
They never even shared a scene. Han was the one who interacted with the last one, and oh my fucking. So. Here's the thing. Holdo is now in command, and she's got a plan that seems really passive, and Poe doesn't really like that. So he's just like, you know what? We're gonna go fucking around her. They're tracking us through light speed, and this is the thing. They make a big deal about, oh my god, they can track us through light speed. That's impossible. Didn't they do that in A New Hope? Isn't that what they did?
They put a tracker on them and chased them, yeah.
Basically, so it's basically the same thing. But it's like, we can disable the tracker on the lead ship. Oh, so how are we going to do that? Well, we need a code breaker to sneak on and stuff. Okay, fine. But here's the thing. Holdo's plan, apparently, is that they're all going to go on transport ships and just flee to this nearby planet where they'll be safe and get a distress signal out.
Yeah.
However, she doesn't tell anybody the plan. She just says, keep going out of the range of the big Star Destroyer things while they slowly pick us off until we run out of fuel.
Yeah.
And that's what causes Finn to sort of like have his own little mutiny, send Finn, Rose, and BB-8 on with the secret plan to get this codebreaker guy at Canto Bight. And here's the thing. If Holdo had just told Poe the plan, which eventually, when he find out about it, he agrees to, then he never would have sent them to Canto Bight, and that whole thing would never have had to have happened, and even if it had to have happened, their mission, Finn and Rose's, ends up being entirely pointless because they fail. They failed! So it's literally just it's just a time waste. It's just giving them something to do in this 2.5-hour movie. And
But here's the worst point, Scott, right? They could have all escaped that way.
Yeah.
Why not all? If Finn and Rose can escape and come back undetected, why can't all of them escape and go to Canto Bight and live there, be happy on the space horses?
I think they've all been infected by brain slugs or something that's sapping their intelligence. It's amazing. I've never seen this. I've seen bad movies, seen poorly structured movies. I've seen movies where you could cut a lot of stuff out. This is like a quarter, a third of the movie, and it's entirely pointless.
It's like the movie Speed with Keanu Reeves. If he just decided to get off the bus for a little while and go to the pub and then come back. Isn't it?
It's so ridiculous. And as the movie ended, I thought, oh my god, there is some... Because I can handle long movies. I actually kind of like long movies. I prefer longer movies over shorter movies, to be perfectly honest. By the end of this movie, I was like, okay, can we finish this up? Can we wrap this up?
Yeah.
And there's... I get that you need to give Finn something to do, and that's I think the fundamental flaw of this movie, at least with regards to this, is that it's just they needed to find stuff for the characters to do. Now, again, in the original movie, they sometimes had to do stuff like that. Like in Empire, they had Han and Leia and Chewbacca and C-3PO and stuff trying to evade the Empire and ended up on Cloud City. But you can understand why that stuff was there, and even when they weren't doing a lot during those bits, they took time to develop their characters and have them talk and stuff. And in this one, they have that bit, but it's literally just like, oh, look at all these creatures being made to run around with like electro whips and stuff, and all these little kids being abused. Isn't life horrible?
Yeah, look, I can't. That whole bit was just a waste of time for me, and I can't really defend it. It's the low point of the film. It doesn't make any plot sense. To be fair, I wasn't overly happy with this general plot story of, we can just about faster than the Imperial fleet, so we can keep or First Order fleet, whatever they're called these days, and we're just keeping ahead of that. That to me was preposterous in its own self. Then adding this element to it was just a joke.
Yeah, I mean, they could. I mean, the bit of them trying to keep ahead of the Imperial fleet, it could have worked. I think it could have been quite tense and it could have sort of been like a naval warfare movie, like a Hunt for Red October sort of scenario where they're constantly trying to get out. And it could have been really, really tense and stuff. And the way they do it.
But if they had a real reason why they couldn't catch up with them, that was a lot more, rather than them just deciding not to go in full force and go get them. Like if there had been some kind of spatial atmospheric thing going on that stopped them from,
like an asteroid field.
Yeah,
where have we seen that before?
Like that. So they were on one side of the other and cornered, that kind of thing. And that they needed to escape out the back door kind of thing and get to that other planet. That would have been so much better. But this was, like I say, I'm picking this apart. And if I sound critical, I'm not really.
You're on the right show for it. You're on the right show for it. Trust me.
No, I mean, to be fair, this doesn't, at the time of watching it didn't really upset me. It's only more you dissect and think about these things. You think, this film doesn't make sense. But to be fair, there's a lot of Star Wars films that have got massive plot holes, so it's not the best.
This is nothing new. And as plot holes goes, I can tolerate it. What I can't tolerate, however, are those fucking puffin creatures.
The porgs.
I don't care what they're called. For me, they're puffin creatures. And I mean, I'm fine with little critters in Star Wars. I mean, I think the foundation of Star Wars is little critters. I'm fine with that. That's okay. You can tell they put them in there for the soft, cuddly toys.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I didn't mind them because I was expecting them to be, like I say, the new Gungans or, do you know what I mean? Something completely annoying. And actually, it wasn't too in your face. It wasn't too bad. I mean,
They're not minions. They're not minions.
No, I didn't get why they needed to be on the Falcon and be on it after they left Atchu or Tissue, as I like to call it. But, once they, on the actual island, then that was fine. And like the bit with Chewie eating one, was quite. It was that you got to admit that was sort of funny.
It was sort of funny, but it was just like, okay, so I know what's going to happen. He's going to try and eat it. They're going to stare at him with those big puppy dog eyes, and he's going to throw it away. Yeah. It's like, I thought what would be funny is if he just grounded them and then just continued to eat it. Like, I don't care what you think, I'm eating this because I'm hungry and I'm a Wookiee motherfucker.
Pick one of them up and eat that one as well, bit his head off. That would be fun.
Yeah. He's a fucking Wookiee, he can do that! But no. Because, we get more and Rey and Luke's... Right, so here's the thing. Luke offers to teach Rey, 3 lessons why the Jedi should end. Yeah. And in fairness, we only get to 2 of the 3 lessons.
Yeah, we only get 2 of them.
Yeah, but in fairness, his reasoning, you don't have to agree with it, but you can understand his point of view. And I think credit where credit's due, he goes on about how you feel the Force, feel the cycle of life and death. That's always going to remain. It's the Jedi that are the problem. Hubris, vanity. And he goes, the Jedi, at the height of their power, allowed Darth Sidious to reign, Darth Vader, blah, 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 blah. And it's it keeps on going.
Well, in the lead up to this film, all the other elements of Star Wars, whether it's Rebels, Rogue One, all the books, all the comics, have been really hitting hard this notion of there's more than one Force religion, and that the Force is separate to just Jedi. Yeah, the Grey Jedis, the Journey of the Wheels, the whatever they are in Rogue One, old Donnie Yen, and obviously Ahsoka being a Grey Jedi, effectively. So they've been really hammering this concept anyway. So it was no surprise that Luke was going to feel this way, and I've been saying all along that Rey was never going to become a Jedi. It was going to be between her and Kylo, and I still believe this. By the end of the trilogy, it's all about balance of the Force, and ultimately they're going to get to a position where they come together. Ultimately, and that was one of the strong bits in these scenes as well. The connection between Kylo and Rey, that when they start seeing each other through the Force and interacting, and again, I thought some great acting, and Rey's...
And about Daisy Ridley's acting. Yeah. In the Force Awakens, I thought for the most part she was very good. There were some scenes where I thought she was wooden and atrocious. Oh. Not so in this movie. I mean, thank God. I think because that was the first big thing she'd ever been in.
Yeah.
And so obviously there's going to be a few teething issues. Here, she's absolutely great. She's fine. I saw her also in A Murder in the Orient Express. She was great in that. So, so I did have some issues. Like, just a couple of scenes where her certain line delivery was really, really off. Even more so because she was paired up with John Boyega, who's quite an experienced actor, even though he's quite young.
Yeah.
So it was very odd for me. But thankfully, that's not the case here. She keeps pace with Mark Hamill. She's great.
Yeah, very good.
And it's just like her connection with him and with Kylo Ren, I did find kind of interesting. Particularly this idea, this sort of philosophical theme of life and death and rebirth. And this leads to something Kylo Ren keeps saying, like, let go of the old and embrace the new.
Yeah, that's very much the theme of the film, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And this ties into Luke wanting the Jedi to die and stuff like that. And it shows that they actually put a lot of thought into this movie beyond, like, space battles and lightsabers and do. There's actual real thematic stuff going on here, which I mean, even if you don't particularly like that kind of stuff or don't agree with any kind of the points of view in the movie, it's thought-provoking.
I think all the concepts and ideas in this film were great, and I think Rian Johnson's brought really rich and new depths to the story. It's just the execution, I think. In some of it's clumsy or
now,
not quite.
Speaking of, I'm interested to get your thought on this. We get finally an insight into why Kylo Ren, at least in part, fell to the dark side. He and Luke give two different accounts of something. How Luke felt the dark side in Kylo, and Kylo lashed out at him. Kylo says actually Luke was going to kill him. That's why he lashed out. And it turns out it was a middle ground, which in fairness, they could never, once they put those two perspectives out there, there was never going to be anything else. How Luke for a second thought about killing him, but just like said, nope, I can't do that. But then Kylo Ren got the old wrong end of the stick and lashed out at him. And I wondered, what are your thoughts on that, Colin?
Well, again, something different for Star Wars, seeing narratives from different points of view in the film and actually being shown them was quite interesting. The idea that basically Luke would have killed Kylo or even thought about it, I know a lot of people are disappointed with and don't feel that's true to him. I personally think Luke's been through a lot, and he probably got PTSD, in terms of,
he's seen some shit.
Yeah, and also
his sister kissed him.
He himself, yes, I mean that's pretty bad. But he himself has been pulled to the dark side many times and felt its lure. So I think I think that again was all within keeping of whatever. And the fact that the middle ground version was that he almost did, but he didn't. He checked himself. I think is fair. I'm slightly disappointed that it was Luke that made Ben turn himself into Kylo, because I would have liked to see more that he had already started becoming a dark side user. And obviously, we're told that several times, but we never see it. Yeah, if you're going to do flashbacks, that would be the thing to show. Well, this is the thing. I mean, I was really hoping we'd see an expansion of the Knights of Ren and him attacking the rest of whatever it is, whether it's a full Jedi Academy, and that we still don't know. We do know that Ben's been influenced by Snoke and interacting with Snoke. I don't know how or why though, but we know it's been happening in the background because it's talked about in the novels and it's implied in both these films that he's already been having dialogue with Snoke. But
another thing about Snoke we don't know. Another thing about Snoke.
Yeah, and again, so I guess we jump really to the Snoke throne room scene. Yeah. There's a lot of, again, I think this is just this day and age, and I completely get Rian Johnson and whoever decision it was to say no, this is the way we're going to go, and not give Rey a really convoluted backstory. And just ignore Snoke's backstory completely and ignore all these, But in this day and age, we've had 2 years of this being so dissected and talked about and analysed to the death that by not giving a conclusion, they were just setting themselves up for such a hate, and I think that is where.
But no matter what they said as well, someone would have had some sort of disagreement with it, which
absolutely,
yeah.
But at least not just completely copping out this way. I mean, I think they could have got away with either killing Snoke without any explanation, or saying that Rey had no family. But doing both, I think, was just too much.
Yeah, and here's the thing about Snoke's death. I thought it was fucking obvious from the second he mentioned that he was the one that established the Force connection between Rey and Ren. Rey and Kylo, or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, well, he's dead then. He is so dead, because this is technically a betrayal of sort, and he's insulting him, and so Kylo Ren is going to kill him. He's going to kill him. He's going to kill him. And he's just like, my apprentice would never defeat me or never betray me or something. I can feel him going to use a lightsaber to strike down his true enemy. And I'm thinking, well, these are some vague terms here, aren't they?
Yeah.
They could mention you. Oh, he's dead. Oh, he's in half. Okay. That's great. That's great. We got like what in all of these movies, like in both these movies, like 4 scenes of him. And we know his name, and that he rules the First Order, and that he corrupted Kylo Ren, and that's fucking it, and now he's dead. Okay.
But what was so annoying was that he was so powerful in that scene as well. Right up until that, the way he was throwing Rey around, and he had a real menacing... I actually was... Because I'd seen the pictures of him from this film in his gold dressing gown. And I must admit, I was very, very sceptical about what was going to be happening with Snoke. I was thinking, he looks like Goldmember. I'm like, this isn't what
it looks like a decrepit Ming the Merciless.
Yeah, but actually, he was so menacing in that, I thought, in those scenes, right until he got killed.
Thank you, Andy Serkis.
Yeah, and I just thought, what an absolute shame. And again, straight away, all I thought was, oh, right, I'm going to have to buy a novel and a comic now to find out what his story was. Just to, but it's so frustrating in some respect. But I also thought, I always expected Snoke to die in this film. And I thought it was either going to be Luke or Kylo that would do it. And because I always thought that Kylo was going to go in his own way. I didn't think he was going to stay part of the First Order in this film. But it was a surprise. And look, getting a surprise in a Star Wars film these days is a nice novelty. So so I was happy with that. And I thought the next fight scene with the lobster guards was brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Though I would say, those lobster guards were pointless in terms of protecting Snoke. Every time there was a little bit of a threat on Snoke, they'd do some kind of Power Ranger pose and not actually do anything. It was like, okay, well, that's helpful.
And they're so spread out. I mean, this massive throne room, this big empty throne room. It's not like the Secret Service, when they were protecting the president, they're like right next to him. These guys, they're just... I mean, on one hand, they don't really need to because he's so powerful, but at the same time... Clearly, they did not do their job very well. And this brings me to something else I want to talk about, is this movie, there's a lot of action scenes in it, quite a lot of violence. This movie is rated 12A. In America, I assume that to be PG-13 or something. And I can't remember what The Force Awakens was rated. I think it was probably the same, was it?
I'm just looking up at it. Yeah, 12. Yeah.
I don't like the fact that these films are rated as such. I know that the BBFC and the MPAA, whatever it is, have changed since the 1970s, early 80s.
Yeah.
But I feel like these movies should be PG. They should be for everyone. And yeah, they'll have a bit of violence in it, but it won't be too extreme. In this scene, we get one of those lobster guards getting shredded by an electro fan. Like, holy shit!
That was cool, Abbott.
It was cool, but it was a bit intense.
It was. I do get what you're saying, and like I say, I've got all my original VHSs of the original Star Wars films, and they were all used at the time. Over the years, they became PGs.
I think the DVDs that I've got... Hang on, what?
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to find them. Where are they? I can see them, but I can't see the rating. Damn it! They're too high up. Never mind.
Well, mine are PG DVDs, but if the most recent Blu-ray release of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy is actually rated 12 as well.
Oh right. So I've got them I've got two DVDs, 3 DVDs, which have the first, I think, the special edition on them, because I do like some bits from that, and the theatrical cut. So
Yeah.
those are probably still PG or U or something.
Yeah, I think they were PG then. I think it's part of me. I think the classifications. I guess it's the contents. And do you think there was anything in the film that wasn't suitable for kids compared to what was
swear? There's a swear. I think Poe Dameron says ass or something.
Well, someone again. I missed it. I missed it twice apparently. But someone told me it was Finn saying bastard.
Oh yeah, Finn did say bastard, which I thought. I mean, I like that. That's one of my favourite words, bastard. But it's for a movie, not a kids' film necessarily, but an all ages movie.
But not even that. Wow. It's not really. It's not even something that's again. It's just not established in the rules of these films. They don't use swear words.
They have like the occasional damn or hell or bloody maybe. Yeah. Not the sort of this, and it's it's weird.
Yeah. So, but I'm not. It didn't bother me so much because I didn't pick up on it when I even saw it. So it must have been a pretty quick one. Not like in Star Trek Discovery with the famous F words.
Oh yeah.
That was a shock.
Oh god. I mean, I'm not even watching Star Trek Discovery anymore. I've abandoned it completely after like the first 3 episodes. I'm sticking with the Orville. That's what I'm doing.
To be fair, I like both, but we digress again.
Yeah, we are doing. Sorry, now something I really want to talk about.
Yeah.
Yoda, man.
I loved it.
I loved it too. So Luke is in a fit of passion. He does. I mean, he's gonna burn down this tree temple with all this sacred Jedi text. Then he hesitates, and then Yoda's Force Ghost appears. And at first, it looked a tiny bit weird, just a tiny bit weird. I thought, is that CGI? Is that not as good puppet? Every bit from then on that he was in was just perfect. It was Yoda. It was Yoda. And they got Frank Oz back, and he sounds exactly the same, and he talks exactly the same, not just like in his cadence and the way he talks, but like his dialogue. And the music is back, and it's like,
and he can use the Force still, even though he's dead. That was pretty cool.
And he can use motherfucking lightning. And he burns it down, and he talks about how failure can be the greatest teacher, and he laughs a little bit. He's Yoda laughing, and in that instance, I was 7 years old again, watching him for the first time.
And again, to me, that whole scene absolved Luke of any of the things that other people have been moaning about. In that, he's fallible. He's always been fallible.
Still looking toward the horizon, you are.
He didn't get the proper training. He barely made it as a Jedi Knight. I don't know how the hell he muddled along as a Jedi Master. I don't think anyone would have called him a Jedi Master if anyone else had been around. So. The fact that he's failed and the fact that he learned and ultimately redeems himself again in this film, I think his journey arc is brilliant in this, and it starts with that Yoda scene. And the funniest bit was the fact that Luke admitted he hadn't even read those books. He's burning.
They were the sacred Jedi text. Read them all, did you? Page turners, they were not. I'm working on my Yoda impression, okay? I'm working on it.
Yeah, you're getting there.
I'm getting there. That's a pound in the bad impression jar. And it was just in that one scene. The scene didn't overstay its welcome. He doesn't pop up throughout the film. It was just one perfect moment. And
it was good.
Not perfect, actually, because like I said, initially he did look a tiny bit weird. But even though they're only tiny, and he looks so great afterwards, and it was brilliant. It was just brilliant. Then we get Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, so this was not a perfect moment. The whole, again, the Canto Bight was a waste of time, and then getting captured and going to the First Order.
They couldn't get to Justin Theroux, so they had to settle for Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, I mean, it was so, again, convenient that this guy was in their cell. I couldn't tell whether it was planned from the beginning or if it was it was either very convenient and bad writing, or it was a plot point that wasn't explained properly and, again, bad writing.
And it's annoying because he has an interesting outlook. He has this very middle ground outlook. There's another interesting thing, like how they talked about Counterpart and how they all sold arms to the First Order. Oh, they're awful.
Yeah.
And then he points out, well, actually, they sold arms and starships to the New Republic as well. Yeah. So, and it's this new perspective thing that works well, but then again, he's sort of pointless, and he's just sort of like this... beyond that, he's just sort of this like generic, shady sort of character with a very weird stutter. I thought that was kind of weird.
Weird choice.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it. He could have been Lando. Poe Dameron could have been Wedge Antilles. He could have been Lando. Which brings me to my next point. Where the fuck is Lando? Where is he? I want Lando.
Jay and I had exactly this conversation in that. Apparently Rian Johnson was quoted saying he didn't have room to fit him into a story. He could have been that character.
Where is my... I need my Billy D. Williams.
I think personally he probably just couldn't lose the weight in time. So that was frustrating.
It's so frustrating. I don't care if he loses weight or not. I don't care because it's fucking Billy D. Williams. He's involved in other Star Wars stuff. He was in Battlefront 2, I think. I think he did some voice work for that.
And in Rebels. He's done the voice for Rebels.
And he you know what? In Rebels, he sounded like Lando Calrissian. Some people criticised James Earl Jones in Rogue One for sounding just not quite exactly like Darth Vader, although I thought personally he was all right. In Rebels... Billy D. Williams was Lando Calrissian again. I was like, be smooth, and I will Lando, I will be smooth, and I want it. I'm sorry. I rant over now. Well,
look, this leads directly to another rant of mine.
Oh,
Captain Toaster.
Oh yeah.
And her death.
Oh god, they tried. They tried so hard.
That was.
Oh god, they tried so hard to make this character cool. They cast an awesome actor that plays an awesome character in Game of Thrones, Brendan Christie, which is great. They tried to make her the next Boba Fett, and they failed so hard. Oh my god.
What particularly annoyed me was I invested in buying the book and the comic beforehand, even though I thought this is a character that gave up and got put in a trash compactor, and then. Now, I've gone through a book and a comic where they're trying to tell me how badass she is, and she can't even defeat Finn, who, to be honest, is a failed stormtrooper who used to mop the toilets. Do you know what I mean? It's an utter joke.
I mean, the fight scene between them is kind of cool, although it looked good, but it's kind of ruined by the bit where she says traitor at the beginning, like that guy from the last movie that everyone liked instead of her for some reason.
Yeah, he was more popular than she was.
One line's like traitor, vroom vroom vroom, and she just like traitor, and it's like you tried. Yeah. And there's a scene where like she cuts off like part of her mask and we see her eye, and it's like, well, we know Gwendolyn Christie's underneath that. It's not a Darth Vader moment where you don't know what he looks like. Will it be James Earl Jones or will it be someone else? Who knows? But
again, they've gone to great stakes not to describe what she actually looks like in the book, and in the comic there's a scene where she takes her helmet off and they don't show her face. So she could have been an alien looking character underneath it. We don't know.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. That's a good point. No.
But again, just disappointing, because what's the point? Because she died 2 seconds later. So.
Oh, yeah. I thought like she could have been like a running antagonist throughout the movies, and she would turn up in the third movie. I guess fucking not, because she managed to survive being a trash compacted and style killer base after it blew up, but not this time.
The book and comic establish her as a survivor, and that she's out for herself. She's not loyal to the First Order, and that ultimately she's doing what she wants to do, and as long as it. And so again,
I did not get that impression from the movies.
No, you don't get it from the movies at all. Again, you don't get anything from the movies about her. But that would have been a great twist for this film, that she actually did betray them, and somehow, that could have been one of the get outs, or how rather than BB-8 save them by taking over a Scout Walker.
Oh yeah. BB-8 to the rescue! This guy's main job is just constantly turning up, piloting vehicles that he shouldn't be able to pilot on his own. Or it shouldn't be able to pilot, because I don't know the gender of BB-8, or even if droids have gender. So yeah,
He's got a bent antennae, so I don't know what that means.
Oh my. So she's... and this is the bit where this sort of culminates... Finn and Rose fail in disabling the tracker. They're betrayed by Benicio del Toro. At the same point, Rey gets fed up with Luke, and she... actually, before we talk about this, I want to talk about the Rey's equivalent of the spooky dark side cave from Empire. Because that's what I call it. I call it the spooky dark side cave.
Yeah.
She then goes through the slimy sea... Spooky dark hole, basically. And she comes to this big mirror rock and sees... like herself, a long row of herself. She spends way too much time realizing that's sort of a time-delayed multiple version of herself, and then she fast forwards through herself to this big other mirror thing to try and see her parents. Then she ends up seeing herself. What was your take on this nonsense?
What a load of wank was what I thought when I was watching it. It basically...
They were trying to do... Yeah.
It was trying to call back to The Empire Strikes Back and Luke in the cave, but there was no stakes to this. It wasn't scary or anything, and the visuals. I guess Ryan Johnson was trying to say she needs to look within herself to and stop. The answers she seeks are inside. I don't know what he was trying to say, but it was again executed badly. It visually wasn't interesting. It wasn't atmospheric. It just it was just a real letdown, and again a waste of 10 minutes.
Yeah, and it's spent more time being visually interesting than it was actually having something to say. And it goes back to this thing about Rey and her parents, and I'll be honest, at this point, I don't give a fucking damn. Like, her parents could turn out to be Admiral Akbar and Prune Face, and I still wouldn't care. We all remember Prune Face. We all love Prune Face.
One-eyed Willy he was, wasn't he? Yeah, I loved him.
Yeah, and I just don't care anymore. But anyway, she leaves Luke behind, and she goes to confront Kylo, and at the same time, Finn and everyone's sort of culminating in the same spot. Which, thinking about it, most of them haven't left at this point.
Yeah.
And they have a scene with Snoke, and Kylo tries to get her to join with him, and they have a revelation. Oh my god, it turns out her parents were random junk people who sold her for money for drinking or something, and that's pretty much it. And it's like, well, yeah, again, what else could they do? This is the only interesting way they could have made it. Because if it had been anyone else...
Again, it was trying not to feed fan theories, and, it's been so... Every single option has been discussed, hasn't it? Whether she's a Kenobi, a Skywalker, a Solo, related to the Emperor. Every theory's been out there. Again, as you said before, we were always going to be disappointed with the answer because it wouldn't have been everyone's choice. And I think this was the right thing to do. My only concern is the episode number films, the saga films as we'd like to call, to me, are the story of the Skywalkers. And admittedly, Ren is a Skywalker in blood, but he's not the protagonist of this film. No. And so the only disappointment I've got there is, I want the trilogy films, the saga trilogy films, to be about the Skywalker family. And admittedly, at the moment, they still are. But if Rey was to carry these on into another trilogy and it'd be about her, then I would be disappointed,
Yeah. Although I will say about that scene, it ends with them splitting Luke's original lightsaber in two. That was really cool. And,
that was cool.
And then Kylo Ren gets knocked out while Rey makes escape, and Hux turns up, and he sees Kylo Ren unconscious on the floor. He's about to take out his blaster. Ren wakes up. He puts his blaster away. That was pretty damn cool. Like, he was going to shoot him while he was fucking unconscious. That was kind of badass. The way that was shot, and Domhnall Gleeson, the way he was standing, that was pretty cool. and he was just like smoothly putting his coat back in its place when he realized he couldn't kill him just then. And Kylo declares himself the new supreme ruler, or whatever. I don't fucking care. And they all evacuate to this new planet, and
Crait, the planet Crait,
Crait, which I can only assume was named after the dragons, you know.
Well, again, and the interesting thing about this, again, the planet visually looks brilliant, but again, it's all done for the visual effect. You know, the second layer of the red.
We've got crystal foxes.
Yeah, and crystal foxes. Apparently, this is a base that they use straight after the Battle of Endor, and in the comics, they're about to do a story arc set on that time when they established this base. So, nice little tie-in if you want to buy the comics.
Yeah, I don't. I'll read fucking Truce of Bakura. Thank you very much.
I'm sure nobody does. Yeah, or the courtship of Princess Leia.
But this is one before we get on to what happens on that planet, and I've got some things to say. I've been so quiet this whole way through.
Yeah. Speak up, boy.
Pink-haired Laura Dern.
I liked her.
I mean, I didn't like her at first, but then I did like her because she stayed behind to pilot a whole heavy cruiser, which I guess you only need one person to do that now, and there's no water pilot.
And why it wouldn't be a droid? You know, why not put a droid on to do that? I don't. You know, obviously the second in command of the Resistance needs to do that.
Clearly. And but they do that a lot in this movie. A lot of the captains of the ships like just stay behind even though they're being evacuated. Just like, you don't have to go down with the ship. That's not what I'm going to say. She ends up destroying like one of the Star Destroyers by going through it in hyperspeed, and it was kind of cool.
It was
As
cool.
someone who is quite the aficionado of Star Wars and how it works, is that technically possible?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay.
You could definitely go through things accidentally. Whether or not you could have overridden the ship's computer to make you do that would be one thing. What, again, I found confusing was the way that bit was shot, though, because it was a cool moment, but the different cuts and the different angles of it was really confusing to actually look at.
Yeah, and they go when really stylistic, and they can go all quiet and have like this big bright light shining upon the shattered silhouettes of the Star Destroyers. And it's again like a lot of stuff in this movie. It looked cool, but they needed to think it through just a wee bit more.
Yeah.
So,
did she need to be on that ship? Probably not.
No, absolutely not. And so they go down to this planet, and they're trying to send out a distress signal. Meanwhile, the Imperials are advancing. They've got walkers and this big cannon thing, which is based on Death Star technology, which will get through this big blast door that they have. Okay, fine. So it's the battle at Helm's Deep then, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this scene that made me fucking shrug my shoulders in disbelief when I saw it. This one leader that you see in the background for a lot of scenes, he walks out and takes out this pair of binoculars and looks at the oncoming rebel, the Imperial thing, and he leaves behind these red footprints, and one of the rebel soldiers that's in one of these trenches puts his finger on the ground, licks it, and says, "Salt." Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Salt Guy, for letting me know about the geological makeup of this planet. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't been there to tell me, one line in the movie, that the ground was salt. Thank God!
I think the only reason that scene was in there was because the guy next to him was Gareth Edwards, the director of Rogue One. And so it's his cameo. I think that was the only reason that scene was in there.
You see the Gareth Edwards, this is salt. Well, thank you, random rebel trooper. I didn't know that. We all learned something today. I don't care what the fucking ground is. I don't care if it's salt or sand or dirt or motherfucking water. I don't give a fuck. What a weird thing to point out. I'm sorry. This is salt. What's the point?
What I didn't get was, why was Leia on watch duty? And and why was the door still open? Why did you just shut the door?
Oh God! It was so bad. Oh,
But
I realize
so
that's a
the
weird thing.
positive-
I'm
The
so.
positives was it looked cool though. That planet looked cool. The new walkers look amazing. They look really foreboding.
With these speeder things going along, kicking up these red dust trail things,
Yeah.
red salt trails,
Yeah.
I guess. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that
God.
bit was all cool, and that battle scene. I mean, I really thought Finn was wasting this film. I didn't get what he was going to do. He didn't do anything useful in this film, so sacrificing himself would have been good. Rose stopping him from sacrificing himself was a joke. It would have been much better if she'd have just jumped in instead and killed herself, because I would have much been happier.
Yeah.
What was the best bit, one of the best bits in this film, there's two best bits, we forgot one. One was the bit when Luke's on the Falcon and Archie shows him the Princess Leia hologram.
Oh, yes! Oh, yeah, you're right. That was so brilliant.
That
and it
was.
was just like, cheap move, R2, but yeah.
Yeah.
Remember
That
when
was
Star
so-
Wars was good?
Yeah, and then the second real bit that made you remember how brilliant Star Wars was when Rey and Chewie come flying in on the Falcon, and they do some amazing fight scene battles, scored with the original theme from A New Hope. It was that bit was amazing. It was just and again it reminded me of The Force Awakens, the bit with when they're flying around Jakku, which again is one of my favourite bits in that film.
Yeah.
It's just wicked. That bit was just so good.
It was. It really was. You're right about Finn not having stuff to do. The only reason that he was going in that position in the first place, trying to sacrifice himself, was to sort of tie up Poe Dameron's subplot about him not taking risks and being a leader.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they couldn't think of anything for Finn to do, so they had to get him to wrap up another person's character development.
Yeah, stupid. It was. I mean, I if I'd have been John Boyega, I'd have been very cross with this film, because it just. He was so wasted, I thought, in this film.
He's such a good actor, and it's such an
Yeah.
interesting character, and he, as you say, it's wasted. And but then, motherfucking Luke Skywalker, OG Jedi, shows up.
Yeah, and he looks wicked. He looks super cool. He looks like how you imagined him when we read the Legends books.
Yeah.
He looked all, had a haircut, had a bit of a shave.
Yeah. And I
had a
thought,
bullet-
and then then Kylo Ren says, like, everyone fire on him, everyone fucking fire on him.
Yeah.
And it does nothing, and he just goes like, brushes a bit of dirt off.
Which was funny. That was good.
That was the bit that I laughed at. That was the one thing that I legitimately laughed at.
We also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also we obviously he had a brilliant scene with Leia as well, which was a great.
Oh yeah.
moment.
Great scene with Leia, and with C-3PO. They could have said a lot of different things, but he just winked at him. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was great. That was again a little bit Mark Hamill more than Luke Skywalker, I think, but very cool. And then, as you said, this. I mean, basically, Kylo's now positioned himself as this supreme leader. He's having tantrums when he sees the Falcon. He's trying to get him all. Again, his arrogance sends all of the TIE fighters after the Falcon, exactly what the rebels wanted. Yeah. And then, again, he points all the weapons at Luke to blow him up. And then Hux says that amazing one-liner, oh, do you think you got him? And then it turns out we didn't. And then you have
that's why I said everyone fire on him. Yeah. I think before I act, Hux. Give me some credit. But then they have that scene, and he takes out his blue lightsaber. And that's when I thought he's a Force illusion.
Yes, because...
It was blown up at like 2 scenes ago.
He didn't have the blue lightsaber anymore. And again, if he'd have had the green one, you could have got away with it. But, yeah.
You overplayed your hand.
But also, I think there was clues on purpose, because if you notice, there was a lot of Kylo scraping his foot in the sand, but every time Luke walks on the sand, he didn't move the sand.
And technically, he didn't touch him. Not even a lightsaber contact.
But, again, he did touch Leia. Which...
Yeah. And here's the thing. If he was a Force illusion, like a Force projection, how could C-3PO see him? He's a droid. He's not in contact with the Force.
Yeah. So it's look, again, I think that bit was really cool. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to slate that bit too much, But yeah, if you start peeking at it, you will find a million faults. But
But the point is, we can enjoy the scene for what it is,
Yeah.
and we do enjoy the scene. And it turns out he was just buying time for them to for the rebels to all to get away, because it turns out no one answered their distress call. Literally, like no other planets, like, because they've lost all hope. And again, this ties into what we were saying earlier about how we don't quite understand. Like, because the New Republic lost like 5 planets, does that mean the New Republic's completely shattered? I don't know, but anyway. They could have discussed it throughout the movie, like, we are losing allies day by day. It's a real darn sticky scenario, but I guess not. But the point is, they're getting away. And
again, this whole plot of them trying to get out the back door, and there wasn't a back door. But it was just a bit contrived. It was, there's no way out. But actually, we followed the little silver foxes, and it just didn't feel particularly. They made an effort to get that planet. Then that was just a waste of time, really. And they didn't really have a backup plan. Everyone's been wiped out by this time as well. So many of the resistance were killed in the transports. There's only a handful of them. There's literally enough people to fit.
It's like
in
a dozen or so. They can all fit. Yeah, I found that kind of weird. Is this all that remains of the entire resistance or whatever? I don't know.
So while Luke was distracting Kylo, Rey goes to the back door stones and uses the Force, and I thought that bit was really cool, using the Force and moving all those rocks and rocks, rocks again.
But then we get a scene that actually maybe just a little bit choked up. Luke, it turns out, has been on that other planet the whole time, but he's been in like the Orkney Islands the whole time, and he looks up and he's exhausted from the effort of maintaining a Force illusion, like a couple of planets over.
Yeah.
And he sees the 2 suns.
Yes.
And then that theme plays, and we see him slowly go to peace.
Yeah,
and
let
he fades away.
That was a brilliant ending to him, and I love that moment. And again, it redeemed him. And I'm hoping that that really what this means is he realised he'd be more the same way that Ben did. Ben Kenobi, not Ben Ben Solo, realised that he'd be more help to Rey in the future as a Force ghost, and so I'm really hoping he's going to be back as a Force ghost in the next
I didn't even consider that. I can't believe I forgot about that. Yeah, he could come back as a Force ghost, because I was going to say I wish he'd lived so that he could be in the next movie, but he will be.
He will be. Yeah. I'm 100% certain he will be in the next film. So.
If we can get Yoda back, we can get Mark Hamill back for the next one.
I guess I was really gutted that Ben Kenobi didn't pop up as well as Ewan McGregor or something on the Force Ghost bit.
They would have done like the Rogue One, Tarkin, Leia sort of thing with him.
And they could have easily done it.
And I think it depends. At least in the Legends books, again in Heir to the Empire.
Yeah.
In the very first bit we get with Luke in that novel, even though it's not canon anymore, he hears Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice in a dream saying, "I lingered too long. I'm not that strong enough so I can be here forever. So I'm sorry, Luke. I'm gonna have to go. Remember, you're the last hope of the Jedi. Peace out." And then he's gone, and Luke's like, "Whoa, shit! I'm an orphan again for like the 3rd fucking time." And so I guess like. Maybe Obi-Wan's not strong enough to be a Force ghost for like 30 plus years, but Yoda fucking is. I don't know.
Yeah, Yoda is.
So you never know. And then it sort of ends with Rey sort of glancing sort of jealously over Finn as he tends to Rose's wounds, who somehow survived crashing into him at full speed. They both survived, I guess. And it's clear that they're trying to focus on pushing this romantic thing between them. I mean, I'd be fine if that happened, but I don't really care. So I thought Finn and Rey are the couple to be. I always thought that she would get infatuated by Kylo, and that would be I thought that she would end up with Kylo in this film. Oh, that
originally.
emo hair.
Yeah, exactly, the bad boy. I mean, I like the way that and in some ways the story would be more interesting if Finn has to some unrequited love with Rey, and she doesn't actually care about him. So I don't know. It leaves. I guess the big thing is some people have said that this film, the wrapping up of it, has left no excitement or questions for the next film, and it's almost like the end of the story. But I don't agree with that. I think there's a lot more that can happen, and in fact, it's not so much like, oh, here's the 2 or 3 things we can speculate on. We can speculate on everything now. The next film is an open book, I think.
There's so much stuff to speculate, it's not even worth speculating about. We can just take the film as it comes.
Exactly.
But it does end on this really interesting bit. They met a couple of kids on Bhaji, and one of them goes away from the rest of them, and he summons a broom to him using the Force. And it was done in such a quick and subtle way. I was just like, holy shit, that kid can use the Force. Oh, wow, that's so cool. And it turns out he's got this ring that I think Rose gave him, that when you open it up, it reveals like the Rebel signet. And we get that cool theme, and then it's like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, credits. And that's the ending. And you know what? I think they could have ended it on that scene with them all in the Millennium Falcon. But that ending scene, like, there is just a tiny spark of hope left in the galaxy, and the Jedi, or these Force users, aren't all gone yet. There is still hope. Was an interesting way of ending it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. It's just annoying it was a callback to Counter Buyout, because that bit was left such a crap taste in my mouth that going back to that planet was doing me in. And on the first viewing of the film, I missed him putting the broom with the Force, so I didn't even notice that bit.
Because it's so subtle and it's so quick.
And I thought it was a bit cheesy. But, I mean, yes, that was a nice touch. I mean, it was good. And, again, it does beg the question how big a gap is going to be between this film and the next one. It could be 20 years for all we know. They could do a massive jump, and they could say, the next story is going to be that kid. What I did think it was good, if you take the fact that Luke, very similar sort of young little slave boy, well, Anakin was a slave, wasn't he? But, slave boy, Luke was a farm boy, very poor, looking up into the sky. So it's a nice, like, almost it's been passed on to that little kid now, kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting way of passing on the baton, as you were, and just ending it on. And, so, thoughts on the movie as a whole?
As a whole, there was more I liked about than I didn't like. I know it doesn't sound like it how we've talked today, but as a whole, I was happy with the film. I was happy with the direction, and the overarching story was good. As I said before, some of the way it was actually played out didn't quite tick the boxes for me, but the shortcomings didn't ruin the film for me or ruin my enjoyment of it. So, still really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I had it.
For me, I enjoyed it a lot more than I did with the last one. For me, it was great ideas, poor execution. Yeah. Not terrible execution always, poor execution. But here's the thing, when they get it right, they fucking get it right.
Yeah,
there are some great moments that show they clearly know what they're doing, and other scenes where it seems like they really don't. So we've done the movie where most of it seemed too similar. We've done the movie where they tried lots of new ideas and didn't really work. Here's hoping in the next one they fucking nail it. And you know what? For the first time in a long while, I have hope.
I like what you did there. I mean, it is a case of third time lucky, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But if nothing else, then there's one good thing you can take away from this movie, and that's that Prince William and Prince Harry had cameos of stormtroopers in it.
Yay! Or were they cut out?
I don't. If we did cut out, we'd never know.
Exactly.
I don't really care either. You give a couple of cameos. I just think that's kind of cool, But and so yeah, I mean, there's really not much more to talk about. We talked about the characters we went through. Snoke's disappointing. Hux is weird, and C-3PO I love C-3. Yeah. Love me some C-3PO. But there's this guy, Rug Boy, on the Jock and Nerd podcast. I'm sure many of our capers listen to them. He has, on occasion that I've heard, insinuated that I sound slightly like Anthony Daniels. I just want to take this opportunity to take exception to that. I sound nothing like Anthony Daniels. Anthony Daniels sounds like R2-D2, where are you? And I sound like R2-D2, where are you? You see, they're completely different!
Yeah, I can't see what he's saying,
Yeah. And on that note, I think we're going to end the show because my voice is about to give out. Thank you very much, Colin, for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Now, as you mentioned where we could find you before the beginning of the show, but just for the capers, please let us know where we can find you. We'll put it in the show notes anyway, but just to hear you say it.
Yeah, if you search for Star Wars Conversations on iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere that you get your podcasts from, you can find us. We're also on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Star Wars Convo, and you can use the hashtag Star Wars Convo and find us on places like Instagram and Twitter and stuff. So, yeah, find us.
And didn't you do like a drunk live stream recently?
We did. It was our 50th episode 2 weeks ago. So to celebrate, we're going to do the 50 greatest moments and do it live. But we ended up drinking for 7 hours first, and so decided to live stream it and didn't really cover 50 greatest moments.
Well, I'd say it's worth checking out anyway. And if you enjoyed our show, please tell your friends, shout it from the rooftops. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to some of our other super episodes. Like we've done many review shows and stuff like that, so please listen to those. Or you can listen to the show on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, or at PodCapers.com. We have a Patreon. Check out our rewards, patreon.com/AP2HYC. If you want to get in touch with us, suggest show topics, or maybe you want to come on the show yourself, like Colin, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AP2HYC. Thank you very much for Dan Harris for our logo, the lovely microphone, the red and blue 3D glasses, those are mine. And thank you for listening, Capers. This has been PodCapers, the official podcast of A Place to Hang Your Cape. Cue the music! Uncue the music because we at PodCapers have a surprise announcement for you, Capers. A Place to Hang Your Cape is having a little competition, we are. You'll see in the show notes a picture of the dashing Luke Skywalker, pretty good image, and we're gonna ask you guys to meme it. That's right. We're giving away a 1-year subscription to Comic House, the so-called Netflix of comics. You may remember us mentioning that in the episode we did recently with Fred McNamara. And to enter, all you need to do is send us your memes using the image and the hashtag WrongJedi. One winner will be chosen at random, with 10 runner-ups being featured on our Instagram page. Enter as many times as you want to increase your chances to win. Entry closes December 31st, and you must be over 18 to win. If you got all that, great. Recue the music!